Video 5 is entitled Confidence in the Future. From two different verses in Proverbs 31, we hear that she has no fear of the winter for her household and that she laughs at the days to come. Depending on which translation, she laughs, or she smiles, or she rejoiced. She rejoiced in the future. She had confidence in the future because she knew that her life was in God's hands. She accepted her own mortality because she knew that her principles were not only good enough to live by, but also good enough to die by. She smiled or laughed at the future because all things were in order. Her children were properly brought up. She helped her husband to be the best he could be, and they were all better because of the impact she had on their lives. Proverbs 31 tells us that she had no fear of the snow for her household. It was actually not snow, but rather the colder temperatures that were a concern for the Proverbs 31 woman, and she thought ahead to make sure that her family was dressed warmly. One translation says that they were clothed in scarlet. The word that translates as scarlet can mean, of course, the color, but it can also mean double, and in this case, clothing of a double thickness or 2 layers of clothing. It could also be the color, because scarlet dyes were in wide use at that time, and being a darker color, scarlet attracted the heat of the sun. It was also an expensive dye, which is another example of how the Proverbs 31 woman wanted the best for her family. Not only their clothing, but their food. She had enough grain stored away that there would be bread for the family if a famine were to occur. She trusted God to provide everything they needed. He had already begun to do so by equipping her to think ahead. She began and ended each day in peace. She went to bed each night confident that she had done her very best that day. She slept well, knowing that she had been honest in her dealings with everyone she met. And she began each day with a few moments of prayer and meditation to add focus to the day. She was contented with her life. She was happy with who she was, what she did, and how she did it. And she never stopped thanking God for giving her the life she had. The Proverbs 31 woman accepted change. She saw a change in a positive light as a sign that she was growing. Change kept her flexible, and it also gave her perseverance. She knew that God put her right exactly where He wanted her to be. So, rather than questioning Him, she adopted a stance of quiet and serene acceptance. It is not negative to acknowledge that life can turn out quite differently in reality than in the imagination. But she knew that getting frustrated or getting so that she wanted to quit, which was even worse, did nothing to help the situation. So she rolled up her sleeves and changed whatever it was that needed changing. The Proverbs 31 woman didn't worry. She experienced genuine concerns, but she realized that imaginary problems are harder to deal with than the real thing. She knew that if she allowed her imagination to take over, the situation would quickly become a catastrophe. So she took the words "what if" out of her vocabulary and turned everything over to God. She knew that God would listen to her concerns, and she prayed to Him. Did the Proverbs 31 woman ever face a crisis? Yes, we know she did. Childhood illnesses were often fatal back then, and she lived in the shadow of famines and wars. She was apprehensive about serious problems, but she trusted on a deeper level that God would control the outcome. She had control in her life because she knew that God had a plan for her and her family. Join me in the next video, Wisdom and Kindness.